I lead a fairly normal, boring existence. I go out and work for a living. I have a 7-year-old child who takes a bit of looking after, but give him a football or a hurley and he's happy. I do what normal people do. I go on holidays in the summer. Sometimes if I get a chance I go skiing in the winter. I live in a decent house, drive a decent car. But 25 years ago I was living on a completely different planet. It was a place of torture, of brutality, of great sacrifice and selflessness. And I just want to talk about that time here today.
I was the editor of Republican News in 1976, and after visits in the H blocks and in Armagh jail, relatives would come into our office and hand us over columns, which were very unusual. It was the first time I'd ever seen columns written so small. And the columns would break your heart because they would name the prison officers. There would be names of the prisoners who were being beaten by these prison officers, and there was a litany of busted eardrums and black eyes. And we had a very hard job getting this published. But I mean, we kept up the publicity, and the campaign on the outside was very hard to motivate. I remember the late Dave O'Connell saying to me that whenever we started to paint the word H block up on the walls in the south, people thought it was a new ice cream. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be like this. Words of Bobby Sands' poem about artists and writers in this country not doing anything always stuck in my mind. And there were a few noble people amongst the writers and poets and artists who stuck out their necks and who've been consistent down the years. And I mentioned them in the introduction to the book. And there was others, I mean, with Section 31 RTE broadcasting ban, and there was people who could have claimed legitimate ignorance, but not after Archbishop O'Fee made a statement about the comparing the H blocks to the sewers of Calcutta. I don't know why these people, and I mean the reason why the book, there's lots of books, we've got books out on the political situation, analysing the hunger strike from a struggle point of view, political point of view, military point of view, and I always wanted to have a book out that would actually look at it from a literary and cultural point of view. The book, I believe, tells stories, new stories, from how it impressed people at the time, and looking back on it, I think it's very, very powerful. British imperialism and colonialism generally takes from people, it never gives. It always takes. From us it took away our civil rights, and that was to lead to the armed struggle. And then to prisoners who had political status and who had won political status as a result of a hunger strike, the British government decided to take it away from them. And it began by taking away their clothes, their shoes, took away their beds. They were allowed 1 hour's exercise, and they took that away as well. And there was light came through the window, so they blocked up the windows, and they blocked underneath the doors. And they thought they had taken away everything. But they were wrong. They were absolutely and totally wrong. And just 1981 is just powerful for what it unleashed in our community. It unleashed a sense of confidence and freedom, and it was our 1916, and it changed my life, and I think it changed the lives of generations. I've done meetings around the country this year, in Gulleduff and Tyrone, hundreds of people. 800 people in a community centre in Cork, and from 10 years of age right up to 80, 90 years of age. And I mean, a tiny community in the north, 6 counties, a minority, the niceness, isolated, separated from the rest of the country, produced 10 hunger strikers. Brilliant men, and I'm so honoured to have contributed to a book which is dedicated to their mothers and fathers and their brothers and sisters who produced those 10 great men.
Could you give us a bit of background to yourself and how you came to end up in the H-blocks?
I was born in Belfast, in West Belfast, in 1958. Obviously, I was growing up through the 60s, and then the conflict erupted in 1969, the civil rights. I lived in a mainly Protestant area. The street I actually lived in, there were only 2 other Catholic families, and both of them, by coincidence, were former RUC men. So when I was growing up, all of my friends were Protestants. I grew up in a Protestant area. However, in 1973, loyalists came to my house and tried to shoot me. And we moved out then from where we lived and moved to the Falls Road in West Belfast. I joined the Fianna shortly after, the Fianna Iron, and when I was 17, I enlisted into the ranks of the IRA. I was arrested in 1978 and charged with an explosion, causing an explosion in the centre of Belfast, and was subsequently sentenced to 15 years.
At the beginning of 1981, when it was announced that, when Bobby Sands had announced that we were going to have a second hunger strike, I took over as the OC of the Republican prisoners in the H-blocks at the end of January or February of that year. Took over from him because he was going to be the first hunger striker for starting in March. So I took over that position, and the key role in that was liaison with all the hunger strikers and obviously with all other prisoners, and the contact with the army leadership and the political leadership outside.
I was the director of publicity for Sinn Féin, the editor of Unbowed, and also an external spokesperson for Bobby Sands. So when Bobby stood for election for Man South Tyrone, I did all the radio and television interviews on his behalf, speaking about what the issues were and what his objectives were and what his manifesto was.
There are 49 contributors to this book. 9 poets, 9 writers, 8 journalists, 1 trade unionist, 1 Christian unionist, 1 priest, 1 teacher, 1 ex-student, 1 lawyer, 2 filmmakers, 1 veteran Republican, 7 activists, 1 politician, 1 mother, 1 former hunger striker, 1 musician, 1 artist, and 1 actor. That adds up to 50, if you include Danny's very incisive introduction. Now, most of the activists were what is often referred to as ordinary housewives. What struck me straight away on reading the book was the enormous contribution made by women to breaking down what Maud Gonne called the wall of silence built by the British around Ireland.